I would rather you shoot small, if that's what people would say, or you have small, whatever. I would much rather you do that and hit it and be happy and fulfilled and aligned and get to do what you actually love, whatever that is.
What is the theme of your movie? Because whatever it is, design your success around that, and you're going to find yourself way more successful, even if it's not as grandiose as being a billionaire. That doesn't matter. What matters is that it's your own unique theme that is actually who you are and who you're meant to be, all sort of wrapped up into one.
Next Level Nation, welcome back to another episode of Next Level University, where we help you level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We hope you enjoyed yesterday's episode number 1599, one of the keys to long-lasting friendships / relationships in general. Today, for episode number 1600, another milestone has been crossed today. What 1600 episodes taught us about success? I like doing, legacy episodes. I don't really know what it would be called, but I know we did after the first 100 and after the first 200, 300, 400, 500. After 500, we probably waited till 1,000, but another 100 has crossed, so we wanted to do an episode on what we've learned, and I think one of the reasons I wanted to do this is because I feel like time is really speeding up, and I feel like I'm learning more between the hundreds than I did in the beginning. I feel like I learned a lot from 0 to 100, but I don't feel like a lot happened. I don't feel like a lot of the knowledge that I acquired manifested into reality. Now, things are changing week to week where it's weird. It's very hard to even put your finger on exactly what's going on. But I told Alan, my lesson in a nutshell is twofold. My cat is scratching my leg right now. Hello, Ace. Hi, buddy. I'm recording an episode right now, if you don't mind. Thank you so much. I love you. He scooted his butt away. He's gonna go back to his bed now. If you told me what success actually was, or the process to accumulate it, if you told me what I know now, if I was telling 27-year-old Kev, there's 0% chance I could understand it. That's part one. Part two, so much of the success is buried in the day-to-day stuff that nobody will ever see. I did a post on this one time. If I look at all remotely successful to you in any way, shape, or form, that's because you see the 100 successes, not the 1 million failures behind the scenes.
Nice.
Not bad, right?
Yeah, 100 to 1 million. That's a hell of a ratio.
It's not great. It's not great.
I was hoping maybe 100 to 1,000.
I mean, how many mistakes have we made?
Oh, yeah.
More than 1,000.
I would say 10 times the successes for sure.
So that's a big piece of it. And then this is going to kind of be an open dialogue between Alan and I. And this was the other thing I said before we got on here. This is a hard thing to explain. When somebody says, hey, you're really good at something, you're comparing what you think they're good at to how good you think they should be, or how good you think you would be. Probably that one. So if anybody's ever said to me, you are a really good speaker, they're most likely comparing where they are in that moment to where they think I am in that moment. My new frame on this is, I am only going to give myself credit for being good compared to how good I should be. Am I good? Maybe. Am I good for doing 2,300 or 2,400 podcast episodes at this point? I don't know. Maybe. I'm probably not as good as I should be, though. I definitely could be better. Am I as successful in the fitness realm as I should be? F no. No, I've been working out since I was 16. I'm 34 years old. I've been working out for 18 years. For the vast majority of it, I didn't know what the hell I was doing, and I was just effing around. There's a big difference between doing something and doing something correctly. So yeah, that's the opening. We'll see where we go from here.
purpose of this episode, correct me if I'm wrong, is for us to reflect back on the 1,600 episodes and try to understand at a deeper level everything we've learned, or the most important things I think we've learned about success in general.
I would say so. Yeah, flip a coin. Whatever it lands on, you can talk about it. You know?
Sounds-
Whatever you feel like talking about.
You know,
I'm in a very good mood, as you can tell. Remember the episode we did recently where when you're down and out, what you do, we did the right things and things are trending back in the right direction. So I'm giddy over the moon. It's been an interesting day.
nice. One of the hardest things in the world about success is when you are feeling the momentum, gaining success, when things are going well, it's hard not to let that go to your head.
Yeah.
So Kevin and I have this pattern that I think is very natural. I don't think it's necessarily anything against us, but when things are going really well, we we aren't as dialed in.
That's fair.
You know, we got on the mic today. We started talking about everything that's going well. It's great. And it's very difficult to take everything as seriously when things are going really well as when things are not. And I think that that's one lesson that I've learned the hard way too many times, which is Kevin and I talk about having a big month. And, you know, we had our biggest month we've ever had at NLU is $74,000. And keep in mind, that's gross revenue. I need to make that clear. When you run a large business, $74,000 is not going into our bank account.
Yes.
Like that's it's very important. Like that's before taxes, before payroll, before
Kevin and
all
Alan
expenses.
did not put $74,000 into the bank.
No,
And then
definitely
keep
not.
all of it.
That would be wonderful.
That would be wonderful.
Maybe one day. But the point is that after a big month like that, our best month yet, it can be really easy to step off the gas, and it can be really easy to lose sight of what created the momentum to actually make that possible. So even right now, you know, there's a lot of really good things happening at NLU, and it can be difficult to stay as disciplined. It can be difficult to still do what I'm referring to as the drudgery that comes with success. And this is something that I talked to Kevin about right before this episode, which is no matter what you do towards success, there's a lot of drudgery that other people don't see. And so number one, it's always easier to talk about something than to actually do it. Number two, everything looks easier than it actually is. Everything. Everything sounds easier than it is. Everything looks easier than it is.
Everything's more behind the scenes than you think it is.
100%.
We used to work out with someone who's very big on social media, very big on Instagram. And the amount of time she would spend doing different exercises so she could put them on social media, it was like, I never realized that. I wasn't.
Yeah, her workouts were 3 hours because most of it was filming.
I never realized that. I never
Every
realized
day.
that. Yeah.
And that didn't include editing.
All right.
That didn't include the post. That didn't include the links. That didn't include the link tree. That didn't include the thumbnail. Yeah, it's wild. Everything takes so much more than it looks like on the surface. And so, for example, I was on with a client earlier, and he loves cars, super passionate about cars. He's actually about to start a YouTube channel. I'm super pumped for him. He's going to be doing basically self-help while on his motorcycle.
I'm truly jealous.
Yeah, and so he's going to go to like scenic roads and roads, and he's going to have a mic in his helmet. And I forget what he was going to, two-wheel therapy or something like that, two-wheel improvement, something, I forget. So I apologize if you're listening, brother. I should remember that. That's my bad. But that said, he's like, I think my car is going to shit the bed. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? You know cars, like, just fix it, right? He's like, the part is cheap, but the way that you have to insert, I don't know you would probably know this, Kev. There's a transmission that it's a special transmission. There's some acronym. I don't know. But the point is you have to take the whole engine apart. So the part's cheap, but the labor is insane because then you have to rebuild the whole engine essentially. So he's like, yeah, no. And so my point is life is a lot like that. You know, someone pulls up in a car But what it took to build that, what it took to repair that, what it took to learn how to drive that, what it took to, it's insane. It's insane to think about. And so everything is more than you think it is. And, excuse me.
And
just a little squeak there. And
remember where that was like the worst possible thing that could ever happen to you, ever? If that happened to you, you had to leave school for the day?
way back in the day. Yeah.
Such a fear.
I'm still hoping to hit puberty at 36. But I think that over the last 1,600 episodes, what I've learned more than anything, because I've coached so many people from so different industries, so many different countries, is that what they do, they make look easy, but pretty much everything else is fairly difficult for them. And so all of us are like really good at a couple things, really good. And everything else is kind of mind-blowing to us when we see it. It's like, oh, wow, that's unbelievable that they can speak on a microphone like that. And if you tried it, I mean, we tried to get testimonials for a long time, and one of the reasons why testimonials are hard to get is just because people are scared of being on camera. Totally understandable. People don't like to hear their own voice. Totally understandable. Neither did we. I remember at the beginning, my very first YouTube video was so bad. It's cringeworthy to watch. I will send it to you if you want it. All right? Alan@nextleveluniverse.com. Email me. I'll send it to you. I have it privately unlisted on purpose because I need my clients to see where I started because it was so bad. I promise you I'm worse than you at my start. I had a notebook. I was trying to read it word for word. I wasn't looking at the camera. The lighting was awful. The audio quality was brutal, just awful. So my point is I was like a little kid. I looked like a little kid. I was still in my mid-20s. It's wild. But the point that I'm making here is that everything looks easy because you're seeing it at the tail end. Of course, we're going to make this look easy at 1,600, and I'm still making some mistakes, some squeaks. And everything looks easier on the surface than it really was behind the scenes. Everything sounds easier and is easier to say than to actually do. And so this drudgery thing, everything has a lot more drudgery behind the scenes than you realize. And whether you see someone on YouTube, just remember, you're seeing the 5%. You're not seeing the 95% that made that happen. When you watch a movie, you're seeing the finished product. You're not seeing the costume design. You're not seeing the casting. You're not seeing all the interviews. You're not seeing all the debates on the contracts at the agencies. You're not seeing all the actors and actresses. You're not seeing all the bloopers. You're not seeing the writing of the script. Oh, that must be awful. There's a director friend of mine who writes scripts, and it just takes him years to finalize these scripts. So there's so much that goes into it, and it's very dangerous to look at the finished product and to think, oh, I could never do that, when in reality, you could, but you have to realize that it's going to take a lot longer than I think you originally thought, including this. This has taken longer than I thought, for sure.
It's taken longer than I'd hoped. I don't know if I had an expectation. I don't know. I didn't really...
You thought we might go viral with a
that was my goal.
Snow.
I spent 7 hours making it. 300 views. Not great. This is another thing that I've been thinking about very, very often and very, very deep, very philosophically. The only true way for us, the collective us, you personally, to achieve quote-unquote success is to find a sustainable way to do it. I don't know if there's any other way to do it, because if I said this, I did an Instagram story today, and I said, I don't want you to want what I want. I want you to want what you want as a result. I think this is what success really is. Success is the pursuit of an aligned result plus the day-to-day journey of said pursuit. An enjoyable, whatever that means, or an aligned day-to-day journey in pursuit of that result. And I think they're going back to the episode we did recently where not everybody's supposed to be a millionaire or an entrepreneur or whatever, a parent, whatever it is. The reason is because for some people that's not sustainable. That would take their day-to-day and make it completely misaligned. And now I'm starting to really, really look at people and say, oh my goodness, you're not going to win because you're not going to want to keep doing this. It's honestly, maybe it's not good for you.
Yeah.
It might
Same.
not be physically good for you to do this. You probably shouldn't do it. We have a list of all the podcasts Alan and I have been on, all the episodes we've guested on. And I was looking through it recently.
Same, by the way. That's
You were
good.
looking through it?
I clicked on, so I typed in Alan Lazaros on the podcast app.
Mm.
I was looking for, we just launched the Next Level Audio blog. I was looking for the new podcast that
It wasn't
essentially
there.
my written blog is becoming the audio blog. It wasn't there yet because Kevin was responsible.
Kevin was
for that. I'm
busy
kidding.
with the other parts of the business, not setting up Alan's podcast.
So the Next Level Audio blog has launched. The link will be in the show notes. And it's really just me passionately reading each of my blogs so that you can do other stuff while, not having to actually have it in front of you reading it. I like to learn while I do other stuff, so I wanted to do that. But anyways, the point is I also I typed in my name and I looked at all. It was like, whoa, holy crap. It's been a lot of shows, but I digress. What was your point?
The most interesting piece of that is how many of those shows are no longer around.
Yeah.
It wasn't necessarily sustainable for them.
Mm-hmm.
And that is it. When you're thinking of success, don't just think about sustainability, because there are going to be bouts where it's not sustainable. The week I'm doing this week is not sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
It's Thursday and I am crashing. It's bad. I'm riding the struggle bus. And there's a lot of times that haven't been super sustainable. But the day-to-day, wake up, do this, be overwhelmed, be stressed out, move this around. Okay, cool. That. How long can you do the thing? How long can you practice the pursuit of what you actually want? If it's not sustainable, I don't know if you'll ever find quote unquote true success.
I remember one time you and I had a debate, a healthy debate behind the scenes, and you said, Alan, if you were to say at the end of this journey someone's going to get $10 million, but they have to work, for 3 hours a day every day for 10 years. You said everyone, even if they were 100% certain that they would get the 10 million, a very small percentage of people would actually do that.
That is my belief. Yeah, 3 hours though.
I don't know. I we'll call it 3. And I was in book club, and I was discussing said debate. So anyone in book club, shout out to you. You were probably there for this. And everyone was like, "Yeah, no chance. I wouldn't do it." And I was like, "Oh my God, Kevin was right." I can't. Well, because in my head, it doesn't make any sense to me, because a lot of people have talked my whole life about how they want financial freedom and how they want to be wealthy and how they want trips and all that kind of stuff. For me, mathematically, it just didn't make sense. But then I also realized that I'm very mastery driven, and I like getting better at things every day. And so if you want to start a podcast, but you don't ever anticipate ever being able to get to 1,600 episodes, sometimes I wonder if that person even should start. Because, I mean, maybe not 1,600, but because we do an episode a day. You don't have to do that, right? You could do an episode a week, and as long as you're going to do it for the long term, because you can't really win that big anymore without doing something long term. I mean, I have a friend of mine who makes $450,000 a year, and he codes, and he works for a company. He's been there for probably 9 years, and he'll be wealthy forever. But he's been investing since he was 14, and he's been coding since he was 12. Like, of course he's going to make that much. To me, that just makes perfect sense. There's not a lot of people who have been coding for 25 years, right? I mean, there just aren't. So, and everyone in the world, not everyone, but most companies need apps and websites, and they need coders. So it's just one of those things where you kind of can't win in the short term with anything, in a way. And I know that sounds really depressing and not empowering, but it is empowering if you choose the right thing. One of my clients, 18 years old, I'm so pumped for him. He's got more clarity at 18. I told him, I said, I was a mess when I was your age. He's tracking habits. He's tracked habits every day for over a year. And he's got like 22 a day. The dude's killing it. It's unbelievable. He's read 11 books. Right. I mean, I hadn't read 11 books by then. I was off the rails after high school.
Same. 18?
18. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Now, my point of that is, though, that the time that it takes to accumulate success is so much more than we were ever taught. I have a doctor friend of ours. We have a doctor friend of ours, client. Her husband's a surgeon. He went to school for 14 years, and that's only the higher education. That doesn't include high school. It doesn't include middle school. Right? So if you add middle school 4 years, high school 4 years, that's 8, plus the 14 additional, that's 22 years. So he went to school for 22 years, and now he makes a lot of money. But 22 years of that was being broke. I just wonder if people maybe aren't thinking that way, and I don't mean that in a negative way towards anyone. I just do think that way. I never expected a quick hit anything, ever. I genuinely never did. I didn't think it would take this long, quite frankly.
I wished for it.
Yeah, but I never. I just think it's so empowering for everyone to just go, okay, I can be very, very, very successful if I choose something in these 3 categories. Number 1, something that I can do, that I like enough to do long term. You have to maybe not love what you do, maybe not be passionate, but you like it enough to where it's like, I could do this long term for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 2, something that you can get paid for, right? I love watching movies. I could be a movie critic, but I don't know. Am I going to get paid for that? Probably, if I really did it for long enough, right? But that's not exactly the best play. And then number 3, which is, what are you genetically gifted at? And that's the one that I think a lot of people don't fully understand, because for the longest time, Kevin and I were not doing what we were best at. One of the reasons we're succeeding more in business now is because we just figured out, like, stop trying to be me. I'm going to stop trying to be you.
Yep.
And, people don't naturally like me. That's okay. It's not a strength. For you, people naturally like you. That's a huge strength. Totally fine. Let's lean into it. All good. And for me, systems and strategy and long-term thinking and business and coaching and finance and all that, engineering. And the last piece, not about me, but just I have an engineering mind. So once I leaned into that, we started winning more. Maybe you don't have an engineering mind. That's fine. Statistically, you probably don't. But what if you have an artist's mind? What if you're super creative? What if you're really good with people? What if you're an extraordinary communicator? What if, and so that's the 3 sort of circles. One is, what can you get paid for? What do you love enough, like enough to do long term? And what are you genetically gifted at? I mean, there are some freak athletes that wipe the walls with Kevin and I, and they've worked out half as long. And that's, they just should not be in front of these mics, maybe. They should be on the field or whatever it is, right? And that's okay. So I think the intersection of those 3 is where you can build a real life. You can design a life of success and fulfillment.
Next Level Nation, what is happening? If you've thought to yourself, I want to try coaching, but you don't really know where to start, group coaching would be a wonderful place for you. That's really why we created it in the first place. We start a new round every 90 days. So if you're hearing this, go to the website, nextleveluniverse.com, and we have the landing page where you can actually hold your spot right now. Even if there's a group going on right now, you can still lock your spot for the next one. The biggest thing that we've seen is as we get closer and closer to the date, unfortunately, some people end up missing. The group fills up and they can't do it, and then they end up regretting that. So please head over to the website. The link will be in the show notes, and we would love to see you there. This is my thesis. And I had it about a quarter into your soliloquy there, but I let you run it because I didn't want to interrupt you. So I want credit for that. I want credit for that. Success is very, very challenging because I think more often than not, it's reactive. It's not proactive. Something happens, and then you want to start something new for a new level of success. I didn't start this until I was 27. So in my mind, I already had 27 years under my belt. And I don't think I factored in, well, you haven't been doing all of this for 27 years. You haven't done any of this for 27 years. It was very reactive. I went from something and I started completely new. And I think that's really hard. It's really, I've seen this so many times with people who are very successful in one lane and then they start a podcast and they have to start from scratch. You're starting over. You might have resources, maybe you have money, but nobody knows who you are yet. And they're starting from, and it's really hard. I think at an ego level, it's really hard for some people because it's completely different and it's slower. It takes a lot more time because that success was reactive. You're starting something new. You're starting something that has no momentum. I think that's why it's so hard. But if you came out as a baby and knew exactly what you were going to do, exactly what you wanted to do when you were 5 years old, maybe like you, this might be like a you thing, I don't know. Then in middle school, you knew exactly what you wanted to do. And then in high school, you knew exactly what you wanted to do. And then you went to college for the thing that you knew exactly that you wanted to do, and you never pivoted. I'm willing to bet success would not seem nearly as hard because you'd have so much momentum behind it.
Agreed.
I wonder if that's why I felt like a giant failure for most of my life, because I only did something for a year or 2 years, and then I canned it and went to something completely new. And I never really got momentum at anything I did other than fitness.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if that ate at my self-belief and self-worth. Every time I'd get something down, or not even at the place where I got it down, I'd leave and go do something else. I never really built momentum.
I want to give a shout out to my 18-year-old client. We decided to do DoorDash / Grubhub. And he's kind of doing a split test on which one makes him more money, and he's awesome. It's so cool. The experiments, different times, different apps, what he's doing. Apparently Uber Eats, you have to like apply, and it's like a wait list. I don't know. But the point is I said this to him earlier. I said, you're listening to books in the car the whole time, right? And he's like, yeah. I said, this wouldn't be worth it if you weren't. Because minimum wage where he lives is higher than what he's averaging. But you don't have a boss. You don't have a time schedule. You can do it on your own time. And most importantly, you can turn your car into a classroom. And the books that we are reading, that I'm suggesting that he reads, are going to set him up for a lifetime of business success. When you said that I knew what I wanted to do when I was young, I think I knew more than most, but I pivoted a lot. There was a time when I was considering pro gaming. There was a time when I was, off the rails here, off the rails there, doing this. I went to LA for a time, show business. The one through line that's actually very clear, which is wild and semi-ironic, is that business was the one through line, but this is only obvious in hindsight. When I was a kid, I wanted to be an engineer, go for my master's in business, and then be a CEO. And ironically, even though I've taken 1,000 detours, I was a fitness model for a while. I was a fitness coach. I have a bunch of detours.
Teacher.
But I ended up,
You've always been a teacher.
Appreciate it.
Is what I would say. Terrible at times, I'm sure. In the party days.
I do adore. It's so funny. When I was a kid, I wanted to be a math teacher, but I love to teach. Yeah, I love to educate.
So I think that's a through line.
That is a through line, and it becomes obvious later on. And now I am a CEO. I wanted to be a CEO of a Fortune 50 tech company, and that was the path that I was reverse engineering and trying to do. And now I ended up being a CEO of a company, and we do have a department called Software Solutions that will be in the tech space big time later on, AI, CRM systems, that kind of stuff. Super pumped about all that. But, being a mentor and a teacher, I eventually want to help young people start and grow businesses. So there's a whole bunch of cool stuff coming at NLU later on, but that's not what this is about. What this is about is you have to look at your life like a movie, and you have to pull out the theme. You have to. The clues are there, right? If you watch Forrest Gump, like, what's that movie really about? Is it about some guy who likes running? No, it's about the feather at the end, the famous feather in Forrest Gump. If you've not seen Forrest Gump, I apologize. Are we all just drifting around, or is there a bigger purpose? And he said maybe it's both. And I think that's a really cool duality. We are all here for a purpose, and it's chaos, and we're all drifting around, and right, it's the dance between meaningless and meaningful, purposeful and chaotic. And I think that's the theme, that's the through line. So if you watch the movie of your own life, there's themes. That's a lot of what I do in coaching, is just I pull out the themes. Amy Lenny is a perfect example. Shout out to you, Amy. unbelievable facilitator of great experiences. I'll never forget being at the Airbnb with the team, and I needed to focus. And as soon as she got there, I knew, oh, we're good. She's gonna facilitate everything. I just knew that she would rally everybody, and she's gonna make everybody drinks, and she's gonna do her thing. Not alcoholic drinks, but just she has these cute little drinks she makes. And she was just facilitating a great experience for everyone. And I knew I could just head down and focus after that. I think she has an absolute gift for facilitating magnificent experiences. And in group coaching, she's doing such a good job. So for the listeners, what is the theme of your movie? Because whatever it is, design your success around that, and you're going to find yourself way more successful, even if it's not as grandiose as being a billionaire. That doesn't matter. What matters is that it's your own unique theme that is actually who you are and who you're meant to be, all sort of wrapped up into one.
Well said. Well said. And any Forrest Gump reference to me is a good one. Huge fan. One of the best movies. One of the best movies. I have to watch it again. Yeah, same. I have to watch that again. But this would be my next level nugget. Don't confuse yourself into thinking you're not successful if you don't want to do the process that it would take to get the success. Because that might be a hint. And I don't mean that in the way of you don't deserve it. Please do not step on the computer, sir. I have to move up in case Ace tries to walk across my keyboard. I'm not saying that from a perspective of you don't deserve it, you didn't earn it. I don't mean it like that. I mean it more from the phase of you're kidding yourself if you think, oh, I really wish I had blank, 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 and blank, but you'd never be happy doing the process. Mm-hmm. There's something to that. There's something to that's not what success probably means to you then. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you can really identify with success being something you'd never go through the process of doing. Now, we play the lottery. People play the lottery for that reason. But a lot of people that make a lot of money from the lottery are miserable. They're not happy. They're not as happy as you think they are. And there's a lot of people that have really successful financial careers that aren't as happy as you think they are. There are people out there that make the amount of money that maybe you want to make that want to spend as much time with their family as you get to spend with yours. Mm-hmm. So, but that's what they thought success was to them. So my long-winded next level nugget is make sure you identify it for you, because I would hate for you to regret the journey based on an end zone that you don't even want to get to. I think that would be a really, really sad thing. It would be really, really sad for that to happen. I'd rather you shoot, and this is in quotation marks, I don't mean it that way. I would rather you shoot small, if that's what people would say, or you have small, whatever. I would much rather you do that and hit it and be happy and fulfilled and aligned and get to do what you actually love, whatever that is. I think that's the most important.
There's the whole debate around the journey versus the destination. I was on with a client earlier who lives in New Zealand, and I was asking her, because it's Emilia's favorite place in the world of all the places she's ever visited, and I asked her the flight. How long's that flight?
I don't want to hear it. I don't even want to know.
You don't want to know.
New Zealand's in Australia, near Australia, right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's a 24-hour flight, isn't it?
21. I looked it up.
Hard pass. I can't even imagine. What do you mean? How does it stay up for that long? No. Pass.
21 hours. So the destination that you choose, in this analogy, Boston to New Zealand, matters because it determines how high you climb, how far you go, that kind of metaphor. But if you hate the entire plane ride,
which I do,
which Kevin does, then it's not worth it. And so you kind of have to pick a destination that will help you grow, that's in alignment with your core values and how you want to contribute in the world. Makes you enough money to thrive on, and one that you like the process too. And that's not easy. You know, I wish we taught career development better. I really do. I didn't learn a lot about career development until I think I was probably 20 years old, junior in college, and I started doing resume stuff, and I did some tutoring. And I can make a mean resume, but back then I didn't know what I was doing. And I remember being at the Career Development Center at my school thinking, you guys don't know what you're doing. And why am I learning this now? You know? Like, this is important stuff. So again, I always feel that way because as an educator, as someone who just wished I knew these things earlier, and that's what NLU's built on, what we wish we knew. The whole, every other episode, probably every episode on some level can be in that next level nugget is, hey, we really wish we knew this.
Yeah.
And now we do, but we learned it the hard way. So maybe you can learn it, but maybe a little less of the hard way that we learned it. And that's what we do for our clients. That's what I do for my business clients. That's what Kevin does for his podcast clients. And that's what we do for our listeners. So thank you for listening. Appreciate it. Next Level Nation, 1600.
1600. A lot of episodes. Cool. A lot of episodes. That's the other weird thing, too, is eventually I think you get into a groove where you don't... Things just happen so fast that you don't even really know what's going on anymore. Not completely, but I feel like we just recorded 1500 last week. Doesn't it feel like Next Level Nation, welcome back to another episode today for episode... Like, it feels like it was just yesterday. I can't believe it's been 100 days since then.
Yeah, it's wild.
It goes by so fast. So that's another thing about quote-unquote success.
But the day-to-day went by really slow. The day-to-day was tough, man. I
would say hour to hour is tough.
Yeah.
Day-to-day, it's Thursday. I feel like it was just Monday. It's wonky. It's just, there's just so much going on.
There's the next level nugget. It's wonky.
It's wonky. Next Level Nation, as you know, March 23rd, 2024, Groton, Massachusetts, and virtually via the interwebs. We have Next Level Live 2024. Alan and I love doing live events, and we especially love the ones that we get to host because we can make it however we want, and we know the audience, and we know what will resonate. It's pretty much just like a podcast, except we're on stage, and we're teaching more, which is very, very wild that we have the opportunity to do that. So if you are local to Groton is probably, 40 minutes outside of Boston?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a little bit more. No, I think it's a little bit more.
It's right near where I just was when I went indoor skydiving. It's right on the border of Massachusetts and New Hampshire. Yeah,
it's not that close. No, it's not that close.
Like 20 minutes, right?
Let me take a look.
Tingsboro? I was in Tingsboro or something like that.
It's not that close to Tingsboro, is it?
I think so.
All right, talk about what you're going to talk about. Let me look it up on the map so I can give an accurate.
Okay. So on this Streamliner, there's a mountain. Okay. And at the top of that mountain is a star. Said star represents your dreams. And the Dreamliner is a journal that's going to take you from the bottom of the mountain to your dreams. But the point of why I really want to tie it to this episode is the Dreamliner is going to help you make sure that you're climbing your mountain and not, what your family wanted for you, what your mom wanted for you, what your dad wanted for you. I remember I was giving a speech at Clark University, and these two students came up to me, and they really wanted to play soccer for a living, and they were really good. And I said, do you think you could actually make money doing that? And I'm not saying that imposing that you can't. I'm asking if you guys really feel like you could make it on a semi-pro or pro level. And they said, yeah, but our parents want us to be engineers. And I said, well, they asked me for advice. I said, you got to have the courage to follow your heart. You got to have the courage to do what you want to do. Because I asked, are you going to regret it if you don't? And they said, yes. I said, well, then you got to do it. Mm. You got to do it. And your parents are going to be upset. And that is what it is. And you have to have the courage. So I don't want you climbing a mountain. Kevin and I don't want you climbing a mountain that isn't your own. So the Dreamliner is going to take you to your unique dreams. I've been using it every single day since I've gotten it. Achieve your dreams 90 days at a time. The key word there is your dreams.
One day at a time. Also keywords.
Mm-hmm.
One day at a time. An hour.
It says 90 days at a time.
Okay, 90 days at a time, but one day at a time out of the 90.
Yeah, exactly.
Is the way that cookie crumbles. Groton is roughly 1 hour outside of Boston. So that is where Groton is. It's beautiful. It's scenic. It's kind of out in the middle of the woods in a way, but also not. Alan said yesterday that I believe Emilia told him that it's surrounded by conservation land, which is why. So. Yeah. So we don't know that. Don't fact check that. That might not be accurate. But we're taking 30 people in person and 30 people virtual. There is a buffet style lunch, and the food is really, really, really good. And you get to meet other members of Next Level Nation. It is the 23rd, Saturday, March 23rd, and everybody who attends live is getting a free Dreamliner, which I'm super excited about. So yeah, we'll have the link in the show notes. You can get your tickets, whether they are virtual or in person, via the website. And make sure you get them fast because tickets are already selling. And we are still, a little less than 2 months out, which is wild that tickets are already going. So make sure you get your tickets if you want to attend. All right, tomorrow, we start the climb to the next 100. Tomorrow, for episode number 1601, I'm going to have to get used to saying that. Who convinced you asking for help is bad? Somebody asked me for help recently and made me really happy. I was super pumped that this person reached out and asked for help. And I think there's a lesson in that. Definitely a lesson for me, but hopefully a lesson for all of us. So we will talk about that tomorrow. As always, we love you. We appreciate you. Grateful for each and every one of you. And at NLU, we do not have fans. We have family. Thank you so very much for being with us for all 1,600 episodes.
Keep playing the long game. Next Level Nation.